Hello guys, how are you guys? Today we are going to start with classes on Python. So what is a class? A class is like a template or a blueprint for data and operations. So it consists of a number of attributes that include variables and methods. So the variables are called data members and the method are called member functions. So functions define the operations that can be applied to data members, and from classes you create instance, also known as objects. So instance automatically get access to data, members and method. So why classes? An object is an instance of a class. Object-oriented programming provide for reusable code, which is classes. So object OO means object-oriented programming or programming focuses on the design of software that defines objects and how they interact. It is always better to use old code than to start from scratch because existing code has already been used and tested. It saves time and in the beginning project. So illustration of a class. An example of a class can be car. An instance of a car, which maybe we can call it BMW, will have the basic attributes. So the basic attribute can be a color, it can be make and a model. So it will also contain basic method. Basic method we mean things like acceleration, stop and turn. For any instant that you create, there is no need to recreate this method. So which means you're talking about a code reuse. You keep using the same code over and over but having different results. So that's what it's all about, the classes. So the classes statement: to create a class, use the class statement. The class statement is an executable statement that is used for creating a class object and assign it the name specified. Can create an independent class or one that inherits from other classes, derived classes or subclasses. A derived classes can inherit the attribute of the parent and can add its own. To create a class, use the class statement. The class statement is an executable statement that is used for creating a class object. So the syntax of a class: use a class name in brackets class parents and suit and then statement or class modifier. The class name is the identifier, what the class is called. The parent class is the one from the created class with a copy data members and member functions. So the class statement, again we are still in the class statement, defining a class. So creating a class called demo win. So if you are creating a class called demo win, so what you're going to do, you are going to write the class. Demo win is the name of your class, and then after that this is the parent. So qtgui.qwizard. So it will inherit from another class qtgui and from a specific class qwizard. So demo win inherits from qwizard, which inherits from qtgui. If it is a non-derived class, then if it's non-derived class, then when you write it, you can just say class demo win. So the int method, this is the method, is the first method to be executed after creation of an instance to perform initialization. First argument of every class method is a reference to the current instance of the class. The first argument is called self and refers to the newly created instance. In other classes method, it refers to the instance whose method was called. When defining, the ancestors and method must be called explicitly if it exists. Must not return a value. So let's go to the method again. So this is an example of a class, how you can write it. So in this class here we have a comment. So h means comment, And then we have a class called a class react. So this class react class called is a class react, and then the definition there. So if you try to use it in your coding in a software, you can see the results that after doing everything there in these classes, the output is going to say area of a rectangle is 40. So in order for you to write a class that calculates the area of a rectangle, this is how you do it. So there are self.1 that has at 8. This is a variable of an instance r creating and initialized, and then we have for self.b equals to 5 available of instance r again created and initialized, and then you have a definition there react self, and then return self1 dot multiply by self b. So this is what is going to happen when you return there. So r equals to what? It's equals to react. So the react is the name of a function, is the name of a class. So after that you are going to print what? You are going to print area of a rectangle is r dot. That's how you're gonna do it. So let's proceed with our class. So the default values of the int method. So default value can be specified for the parameters of the int method. If the value of any parameter is not supplied when initializing an instance, its default value is used. So this is another class again. So you can see it's still the same or similar class as that one, but the only difference now, the method, the values also, they are also declared on top there. So and you can also declare them like that. Then print, it can print. You can first see that it's printing for the first class, which was 8 multiplied by 5. Then after that is gonna 10 multiplied by 20, which is going to give you 200. So this is how you write this class. So you can check the format of how you write this class. Yeah, so let's proceed. Class method. Let's talk about the class method. So a class method has no self argument and receives a class as its first argument. The argument to the class method is called class, CLS. In a class method, the class on which it is called is passed to it as the first argument. It can also be called directly through the class objects without instantiating the class. A class method is defined using the class method decorator. A decorator provides a convenient method to insert and modify code in a function and or classes. So this is an example of a code which you can use, like for example class book. We have a price at class method, class variable initialized 200. So now you define display CLS, defining class method to display, and you can print the price like that. So you can go through this code, you can try it, and the output, it will be, you will see it as 100, 110 and 300, 200 and 300. So this is exactly, so in this comment here, each and every comment or line is been we have commented so that you can see, so that you can know the meaning of what. For example, we have book.display there. It's a class method called through the book, and this is one is a class method called through B. So that's all. And then also the class is an instance method show called through, but through C. So that's how you can go through this program, and you can type it in your software, just check, and then you analyze it how it works when we are working with the class method. So let's go to statistics method. What is a statistics method? So you might get a question asking you based on the definition of what is statistics method. Is an ordinary function that is built using a static method decorator, and that binds its results to a class attributes. So difference between a static method and a class method is that a static method has no CLS parameters. It does not use the self parameters. The class method is automatically inherited by any child classes, whereas the static method is not. Also, the definition of a static method is immutable via inheritance. A static method can be called on a class or on any instance of a class. So this is an example of a static method. So this example of a static method, you can see, is a class React defining the class React add static method define DSP method. The definition static method is DSP message. So 1 equals to 5, 1 initialized to 5, and you print the length if starting at 1. So after that, you react. If you copy this code, you can copy it in your software you are using, or if you are using PyCharm or any Python programming software, you can run it, you check, and we have given you the definitions and we have defined every concept in this code. So let's talk about the class method versus the static method. So this is a class method versus the static method. You can go through these classes that we have written here for you, and then when you run it, if you try to print it, to type it in your software, you will get exactly this output that we just gave it to you there. So you can check the difference between the class method and the static method. So assigning one instance to another, Python provides a facility to assign one instance to another. Assigning an instance to another results in creation of a new instance if it does not exist. For example, assuming instance 1 and instance 2 are instances of some classes, then the following statement, instance 1 equals to instance 2, will create the instance 1 if it does not exist, and all the instant variable of instance 1 will be initialized to the value equal to those in instant variable of instance 2. Assigning one instance, this is an example of the code which you can use when you are assigning an instance in Python. So you can follow exactly this method, how we do it. So you will see that when we say s equals to r, so we are assigning this. So if the s does not exist, then it will copy all the variables to r, and then it will start to be, it will create a new instance. So you can check this code. So now about when we are working with this class, we can talk about the garbage collections. Is a procedure. Garbage collection is a procedure of filling up the memory that is used by the variable or instant that are no longer required. Memory that is used by the instant is usually filled up automatically when the variable assigned to them go out of scope. Memory links are thus rare in Python. Python uses a reference countering mechanism where each object has a reference count that indicates the number of references that exist for that object. The references count increases for each reference added to the object and is decreased by removing the reference to that object. When the refer count reaches 0, the object is garbage collected. The object is garbage collected. So this is a example of garbage collections. You can go through this code, you can type it in your software, and you can see, you will see everything that we have done there. The output, it will appear. So what was about when we talk about the class inheritance? So in the inheritance, you are going to have a parents class. You are also going to have a base class and a parents class. But let's just get to inheritance. Is a technique of copying the data members and the member function of an existing class into another class instead of beginning from scratch. An existing class can be inherited, and additionally, data members and member function can be defined. The class that is being inherited is called the base class or the sub classes, and the inheritance class is called the derived class or subclass. The subclass inherits all the properties of the base class and hence results in saving time and effort. The three types of inheritance are single inheritance and multi-level inheritance and multiple inheritance. So single inheritance, when one class is derived from another class. single class. So it's from going from B, it's going to B. It's going from B to A. So class B inherits class A, and class B is derived from class B. A derived class has to identify the class from which it is derived. Example, triangle class from is derived from the rect class. Then is class triangle and the rect class, the way we have written here in this definition of or the structure of a class. So this is a simple example of a single inheritance example classes. So you can see it there is from future import division class react define int self and so on and so on. So after doing this code, you will see that your code your results are going to be a rectangle is 40, or you can also use different values. Access control specifiers. Access control specifiers define the visibility of the member of the classes. All the member of the classes are assigned a boundary in which they can be accessed using this control specifier. There are two keywords, public and private. Public members access from inside as well as outside of the class. What exactly is the meaning of that? It means that a public member, if you have a variable, you can access the variable which is public. It can be accessed outside of the class. You can use it outside of the class if it's a variable, but normally in programming when you work, you must use your function as a public members, and private as a private members are function that cannot be accessed outside of the class. So it cannot be accessed from outside the body of the class. A private member is preceded by a double underscore. A private member is preceded by the double underscore in Python. I hope this is getting interesting and you are getting to understand the definition of everything that we are saying, because it's very important in your chapter, because they are going to ask you most of these definitions. They can ask you what is a private member, so you must be knowing what does a private member does and how do you identify a private member with a underscore double underscore. Access public members. Example, defining and accessing public members. The variable 1, I and B are public members. So if you check here in this code, you will see we have I and B. So those I and B, they are public members. So they are public members. So we can still move. Let's see. Okay, access private members. Example. So this is an example of an accessed private member. An identifier is defined starting with 2 underscores. So if you see 2 underscores, you must remember it's private, and but not ending with underscores. It is considered a private identifier of the class. So you can check the which one is a private member. So if you check the difference here, the variable I now, I and B, they are private members, I and B. But if you check in the previous one, there were only I and B with dot, so that's why they are public members. So you must take those kind of notes. So guys, I'm going to speak about explaining what is method overriding. Then I will continue. So the next section, when we have a class, I'm going to be programming, show you when you guide the skills and how to do it. If in a derived class you have a member function with the same signature as that of the base class, then you say that the member function of the derived class is overriding the member function of the base class. If the member function is invoked by the instance of the derived class, the member function of the derived class will be executed and not the member function of the base class. So this is the method, this is the definition or the explanation of method overriding of a class. So guys, thank you for watching, and I will catch you up guys in the next video. In the next video, we are going to be programming. I will be programming, explaining each and every step. So in this video, I just wanted you guys to understand the definitions of a class and to know everything about the meaning of everything about the classes. So this is where we end today, and I will catch you up in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.